Здравей и добре дошъл в подкаста Бъди осъзнат с мен, Лаура Славов. Това е подкаст, в който ще споделям за моя личен път към осъзнатостта от ролята ми на майка, на предприемач, на жена и на човек като цяло. Ще те запознавам с вдъхновяващи личности, които ми служат за светъл пример, с които резонираме на една и съща честота и които по някакъв начин са оформили моята философия за живота. Не на последно място ще споделям с теб инструменти по осъзнатост, които знам, че работят на практика. Защото едно е на теория, но друго е в нашето ежедневие. Много благодаря за доверието и приятно слушане. Намасте! Здравейте, приятели! Добре дошли в епизод 6 от втория сезон на подкаста Бъди осъзнат. Вау! Направо не знам как да ви представя днешната ми гостенка. Гостува ми Мари Ръсел и тя е моя ментор. Тя е моя ментор по осъзнатост за последната една година. И истината е, че не знам как да ви я представя по такъв начин, че да добиете представа, що за човек е Мари. Може би ще започвам от там, че ние се познаваме вече повече от 10 години. Запознахме се по време на моя курс за йога преподавател в 2015 година, като аз бях още млада и зелена и си казах, че е време да изкарам професионален курс за йога преподавател, защото вече преподавах йога, но усещах, че ми липсва основата, така да се каже, на философията и на цялостната нагласа на йога. И затова съм изключително благодарна, че направих точно този курс в Флоренция, който се оказа най-добрия избор за мен. От сутрин до вечер бяхме потопени в философията на йога. И това, което се случва по време на курсовете за йога преподавател, че ти наистина биваш смазан психически, за да се преоткриеш и да се построиш наново по начина, по който искаш ти да изглеждаш като йога преподавател. И един от моите учители беше Мари, другия учител беше Мишел, Ан Бароки и двете жени са изключително вдъхновяващи, интересни и светъл пример за това какво е един йога учител, как да преведеш в живота си тази философия, ако щеш, на йога. 2015 отивам аз на моето обучение за йога преподавател и срещу мен сядат Мари и Ан, Мишел Бароки, и започват да се кикотят. И аз изпълням съвсем ясно как в моята 25 годишна глава си казвам, в тези жени, те въобще не са сериозни, аз защо съм тук, какво правя тук? И едно огромно осъждане в мен. И това е интересното, че всъщност този курс тогава започна в рамките на един месец. Аз преминах през такава дълбока метаморфоза личностна, че видях как съденето е нещото, което не работи за мен в моя живот. И разбира се, всички съдиме и го правим много неосъзнато, но искам да ви кажа, че това е една така доста ситуация, в която аз изпълням много ясно. И ето мога да ви кажа ден днешен, че аз въпреки всичко се върнах пак на обучение с Мари, още тогава, рокет йога, и не спрях да следа нейния път. И винаги това, което ми е правило впечатление, колко автентично тя споделя за житейския си опит, където и да е. Тя живя в Мексико известно време. Както ще разберете от епизода, в един момент Мари разбира, че е болна от рак на гърдата и впряга всичкия си потенциал, целия си капацитет, за да се самоизлекува. Пробва всякакви алтернативни методи. Най-вече работи с психиката си и с това, което не работи на нея на ментално ниво. Много ще говорим за това в подкаста, така че не искам повече да открехвам вратата тук, но в крайна сметка тя е жива и здрава и абсолютно вибрираща и пълна с идеи. Наскоро отвори своето, не знам кое подред, йога студио в Толедо, щатите. И има толкова много житейски опит, който с огромна радост пренасям към вас. Разговорът е на английски език, за съжаление, защото нямаше как да си говорим с нея на български. Но ако има нещо, което не разбирате, пишете ми и аз ще направя всичко възможно по силите си да преведа. И ви пожелавам едно приятно слушане. Наистина, повярвайте ми, има много какво да си вземе човек от този разговор и за това просто ви благодаря за това, че сте тук. И ако имате обратна връзка, ще съм насреща. Благодаря и приятно слушане. Hi, Marie. Thank you so much for taking the time to be my guest. I'm so excited.
Thank you. I'm excited to be with you. I really am.
You've been my mentor for the past 1 year, and I've known you for more than 10 years now. So for me, this feels super special to have you here on my project, which I started also thanks to you this year, because you encouraged me and you gave me the wings, so to say, for this project. So I'm finally seeing this coming together. The topic of season 2 is Dharma, and I interview people asking them about their path, among other things. So this is something that I always think of you when I think of Dharma as well. And Dharma, I imagine people following their path, with their heart in it, with their courage, and it's very strong. So I really want to appreciate you for that. Maybe if you want to introduce yourself for the people here in Bulgaria, who you are, and just speak about what feels most alive in you right now.
Well, thank you for that great introduction. It's always interesting when someone says, "You're my mentor," and I think to myself of my yoga teacher who used to say that the students are the teachers. So you are my mentor in a way too, because when you engage in this type of work of coaching and yoga, it's very collaborative. And so we're kind of heightening our intuitive skills so that we can, I can hear what you're saying and offer you what I believe that you already know. And sometimes it's just really good to hear it out loud from somebody that you love and trust in a safe space. And so that's really what my work is about. And we call it, I'm Marie Rъсел. Hi for all of my new friends and friends of Laura, who's such a powerhouse in Bulgaria, because she really is like a trailblazer, someone who is raising their hand and saying, I'll do it. I'll do this great work. And that's what we do. That's what I do as a yoga teacher trainer and as a coach. So we have programs called It's Yoga, and we do trainings and classes and workshops on the mat and also off the mat, because it really is an integrated practice and we can't just choose certain aspects of it. I found in my early days of practicing, I would really feel all of those great feelings when I was, bending over and breathing and moving this leg over here. And then when I would step off my mat, be very challenged by things that were happening in my life. And so it's really been a deep dive for me these last 20 some years of integrating that authenticity I could feel on my yoga mat, off my yoga mat. And of course that changes sometimes too. Sometimes I feel like I'm doing great on my mat or in my life, and then I get on my mat and I can't find my feet, so we are multidimensional. We have, the physical aspect of being, the psychological, the mental aspect, the emotional, and of course the spiritual. And so this is a practice about integrating our divinity with our humanity, and learning how to move through this thing we call life with as much grace and ease as we can. So
thank you so much for introducing yourself. It's very interesting because when people come to yoga and they see their yoga teacher and they think, I would never do that. I could never do that. And sometimes they give up, but they forget that the yoga teacher also once was a beginner. How did your yoga journey start?
Well, my yoga teacher, Larry Schultz, he used to always say that every day I wake up, I'm a beginner again. And I'm sure you've heard me say that before, but it's true. It's true. Every day I wake up, I'm a beginner again after, over 20 years of practice. And I started with, kind of a friend's encouragement. I was in college at the time, and I had had some hip surgeries that were very difficult to recover from. And although I was healing physically, I had felt so much emotional confusion. Like I didn't understand why this could happen to me. I was so young and I was healthy for the most part. And I had really internalized a lot of that. And so when she invited me to go to yoga, I was like, oh, yoga's weird. I'm not interested. And she just kept pursuing me. And when I walked in, finally, the students in the class beforehand, and if you've heard this story, forgive me, but at least the listeners might enjoy it, but they were doing lion's pose, which is, a really kind of like, wow, posture. You roll over your knees, you put your hands down, you stick out your tongue, and you go, it's like, wow. And I remember like turning around, like, wow, that was so weird. I'm not participating in this at all. And she grabbed my hand and she said, no, that was for, that's the advanced class. We're just here for the beginner class. And so I stayed, and I remember feeling very, present in a way that I hadn't been, in a while, like kind of looking around and seeing people in comfortable clothing and not wearing any shoes, and this beautiful woman walking around, inviting us to do these things with our bodies that were very difficult, but she made it sound so easy. Just move your right foot, lift your arms. And it was just like, why can't I do these things? I was 20 years old. And so it was immediately like, I have to do this. Like, I don't know why, but I have to do this practice. And that was really the beginning of the end for me. It was an It's Yoga studio. I joined that day. It was $90 for 90 days for college students. So all my girlfriends, we signed up. We used to do the yoga. We'd go out drinking after. I mean, it was like totally whacked out. But there was something that kept me coming back to the studio, to the mat, to the practice, to the breathing. And yeah, I mean, the rest is kind of history. I graduated, I went to DC, and I realized that I was losing my practice at times. This happens to a lot of students. It's like you're doing really great, and then something happens in your life and you haven't done it for 3 months, And so the times that I wasn't practicing, I just remember feeling like really bad, like not like myself, heavy, just like that. And so I realized when I was practicing yoga, I was happier and healthier. And when I wasn't, I was sicker and miserable. And so I kind of quit my job, moved to San Francisco, and did the It's Yoga teacher training, and ended up staying there in San Francisco and, being a part of that grand experiment of It's Yoga. We had just a beautiful studio, a very vibrant and full community, traveled a lot. I ended up marrying Larry, and when he passed, he kind of passed me the baton, the torch of It's Yoga, and that's what I've been doing ever since. But it's a journey, and it's not an easy practice. We face aspects of ourselves that are difficult to see. It requires a radical sense of honesty and transparency, forgiveness and self-love and acceptance. All of these things that are difficult to practice in this world. We're looking to remember who we are before the world told us who we were. So it's not actually like you're becoming who somebody else. You're just unbecoming. You're letting go of aspects that have been survival mechanisms, and it looks like you're moving and breathing and lifting a foot here and doing that, and that is what you're doing. But you're also rewiring and reworking the insides, the traumas, the ancestral stuff, the programs that no longer serve you, we don't even realize we're running sometimes. We don't even realize that we're anxious. And so here I am, this yoga teacher, and I'm like, running around the world telling everybody only love is real and it's all good. But on the inside, I'm having some discomfort and anxiety. And so the practice is all about creating this space for the fullness of you, for the wholeness of you to come forth. And sometimes it looks really pretty and sometimes it doesn't. That's just part of it. So it's been a journey. It's been fun though. I mean, I can't imagine what my life would be like without it. I don't even want to think about it,
I really love what you said, and it resonates with me so much, especially the beginning, of yoga, because when I started doing yoga more regularly, that was hot yoga, and that was a very physical practice. You probably know of hot yoga. It's 40 degrees Celsius, I don't know in Fahrenheit, but it's super hot. And after this, I just would go back home and I would smoke a cigarette.
Yeah.
I would be like completely throw the whole benefits in But you know, I'm super grateful that hot yoga existed, because if it wasn't for hot yoga, I would never go to a yoga class. And what do you think about this concept? Some people are saying that, yeah, but this yoga, it's not real what you do, because it's just physical practice and you put the nice branded yoga pants, and this is not spiritual. But in a way, actually, what you were saying, what you were referring to, was a very deep spiritual process that you were going through, the discomfort.
Mhm.
How did you connect the two? I mean, it's not an easy link, right?
Well, I think it's we've got to be careful with judgment, and saying this is yoga and this isn't yoga. And I mean, I can speak to this because I've done it. I've been one of those people going, "Oh, that's this and that," and so you realize that when you're in that conversation and questioning others, and their, what they're doing and all of that, then I feel the vibration of that. And so I guess I was always attracted to the inner workings of the practice. And I think that's why I did the teacher training and why I stayed in San Francisco and then ever, did hundreds of teacher trainings. Like I just couldn't get enough of it because there is this deeper intimacy with it, but it goes with the pace that you want to go with. So you don't necessarily need to give yourself a hard time if you're like, look, I'm just here because I want nice biceps. I want my body, I just had a baby and I want to get my core strong again. And, all of that's fine because yoga meets you where you are, and yoga is not judging you. We're the ones that are judging. And so I just like to say, like, wherever you're at and where you're practicing, like how you're practicing, all of those things, I mean, I would just congratulate you for just even doing that, taking a step in that direction. And the more curious you become and the more you want, they say that the right teachers and all of those circumstances come when you're ready. So, yeah, I just think it's really careful to kind of accept, I get frustrated sometimes with the yoga industry and, all of the things and, people want to spend all the money on their clothes and not on the classes. Like that's a lot to digest, I think, for someone who's been, in this business and trying to make a life and serve the humans and, do good work in the world. It can be kind of difficult and disillusioning to see the direction it's going. But just like anything, the humans, the world, we tend to take the good things and flip it upside down. And so I think what people like you and I are doing are just trying to like flip it right side up, let everybody do it the way they want to do, but just really focus on what works for you and picking something that you can hold on to and go deeper and deeper into. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of like, well, I do this and I do this and I do this and I do this, and it's still looking outside yourself. So whatever practice you do, maybe it's walking, maybe it's swimming, maybe it has nothing to do with yoga. Whatever it is that you can tap that inner sense of self, like I celebrate that. I think that that's so important because we are so, pulled outside ourselves, and happiness is over there. And once I do that, and once I finish this, and then once that person does that, then I will be happy. But it's looking for a sense of contentment and peacefulness and happiness regardless. Like if all of the things fell apart, like, can you still be happy? Do you know? Like, can you still be like, wow, I wonder what that's about? Or, have a level of curiosity. And that's the work. That's not necessarily natural for a lot of us. We have to really kind of work not against, but with our egos to kind of let spirit be more prominent than the ego. We need our egos, but way too often the ego's running the show. And that's really, it causes a lot of suffering,
I think we've had this conversation with you a lot about ego, like edging God out and the whole concept. Yeah. And I found it really fascinating because whenever I'm caught in this game, spirit and self, and I never feel, I feel something is wrong. Like, when I'm in the other mode, trusting and just being grateful and really focusing on one practice, not every practice.
Yeah.
It's there is a sense of lightness, and the other is it just feels heavy. And
Yeah.
we spoke with you a lot about motherhood because you're also a mom. And for me, what has been super helpful is to speak with another mother with much more experience with older kids. Can you tell me what has motherhood taught you about presence and surrendering? And how
it was like
to
such a loaded question. What has motherhood taught you? I was like, oh my gosh, wow, what hasn't it taught me? I mean, it's what has it taught me? I mean, so many things. I think that, you know, there's a beautiful poem writing by Khalil Gibran, and he talks about how your children are not your children. They're life's longing for itself. And that really kind of resonates for me. Like I see my children who are 9 and 11 now, and I see that they're mine, like I'm responsible for them, but I also know that they're not mine too. Like they're mine to support, to make sure they eat and they, you know, take showers and do all of the things and learn how to cross the street and don't talk to strangers and like all of the things. But the more I allow things to be as they are, and I can see that they also are on their own journey. Do you know? Like, and I find that they're teaching me how to relinquish control, like to just, a lot of the times, just let it be, you know, just like if someone's having a meltdown, you know, I want to fix it. If someone's like upset about something, I want to take it away. But I think that motherhood is like, it's such an interesting journey, because on one hand you are responsible, but on the other hand you're not. You're like their biggest cheerleader. You know, you're there to bear witness to their beautiful life and to do obviously everything in your power to make sure that they have all the things that they need and all of that. But what I really think that I've learned the most is that the kids need you. You know, they need me. They need the best version of me and the most honest version of me. So a lot of times, you know, I'll want to hide if I'm not feeling like myself, or if I'm frustrated. I try and like digest all of those emotions because I don't want them to see this like negative part of me or anything like that. But sometimes it's okay for them to know, like, mommy's on the struggle bus. You know, mommy needs a minute. You know, can you guys help out here? Can you support this? You know, and I think making them more of like an equal participant in our lives has been really helpful for all of us. So it's not all on me to make sure that everybody's doing great and everybody's happy. You know, it's like they're responsible too. Like, you know, did you fix your bed? How does that make you feel when your room looks cozy and all of your clothes are put away? Is that fun for you? You know, and keeping it light even when it's heavy. Like, you know, like it's not perfect, but it's also okay. They've really, I mean, it's so hard to kind of put into words like what it is, but it's been the most terrible experience of my life. Like, it's so heart-wrenching, and you don't sleep ever again, and there's a part of you living outside you like all the time. Like, I feel them so much, but it's also been just the most beautiful and most wonderful experience also. I mean, I got my son this morning, just like waking him up. He's just so beautiful. Like, he is such a beautiful creature. Like, it's like, and I get to like see him every day. And my daughter is like so graceful, and she's so positive, and she's so stable for an 11-year-old, you know. I'm like, and then I think to myself, wow, I get to be with her, you know, like she's my little teacher. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, it's just, it feels like such a gift to, sorry, I just want to turn this light on a little bit more.
No, it totally
To be
makes
in their
sense,
life.
and totally makes sense. And I actually remember what you told me with your son, Adam, that you would spend some minutes in the morning for your spiritual practice, and sometimes he would wake up.
Yeah.
And I know this feeling when I wake up earlier on purpose so I can do my meditation or do my journaling or whatever, and then the same moment I sit down with my cup of coffee, and then somebody's like waking up. And my first thought is like, everybody's in my way. That's what we spoke with you about. Like, everybody's in my
Yeah.
way. And actually, what you are doing, you're integrating them in your spiritual life. It's
Yes.
not that you
Yes.
are going out of
Yes.
your way so you can accommodate them, make breakfast immediately or something like that. But no, you say, come sit with me.
Yes.
Mommy's doing her
Yes.
reading or meditation. And this really left a very permanent impression on me, because I started to look at my kids as part of this journey,
Mm-hmm.
as not someone who is against my journey,
Right.
someone who is in my way, or like always slowing me down. That's my thing. I always want to be fast, and I want to do things, many things. And I
And
think a
that's
lot
why
of people
they're the
can, yeah.
teachers. That's why they're the teachers. And that's I think, like you said, I mean, I think a lot of mothers can resonate with that. Like it feels like they're taking from us, but when we realize, like, you woke up for meditation and your son waking up at the same time was happening for you. Like, if we can be in less resistance to what is happening, I mean, a part of that I know in my own life is because I'm trying to control a situation. I had a plan. I was going to get up before you did so I could do A, B, and C. And now you messed up my plan. And so now I feel out of control. And so now I'm mad at you. And instead of that, we rewire that and we go, wow, did you get up to meditate with mommy? Like, get in here. Look at you, smarty pants. Do you know what I mean? And that's like where all the freedom is. Because otherwise, when I'm in resistance, it's like, I think that's what it is too about kids. Like, they need us. They need to feel safe around us. And so we need to figure out not to resist the ego and to fight the ego, but to integrate it. Like, oh, so it's like if you wake up and your son wakes up at the same time, it's like you can notice that you're in resistance and it didn't go. You can be like, wow, here I go again. So that's why awareness is so important, to see what you're doing, not to judge it, because we've all done that. We've all been frustrated that our plan didn't go the way we wanted it to. And we wanted to blame somebody else for that. But again, if we're in awareness and we're just observing it, we're like, wow, this is happening for me. This is happening so that I can learn how to meditate in the midst of a 3-year-old. Talk about self-mastery and how to, raise children that are awake and know what's important. If we're constantly in resistance, we suffer. And then they suffer too, because they can feel our vibration. They don't know how to process that. All they're doing is just feeling. They're like a sponge. So if I am frustrated, why did you wake up? And then I see what I did and I can redirect myself and ask for forgiveness. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you wanted to meditate. I just didn't know. I'm so glad, thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, I love that because it's totally turning it around. And as you said, to your point, that you are being responsible for, the way I react, we react. I just listened to Madonna's interview, by the way, for the podcast on purpose, and they spoke about this willingness to control things, and that, really resonated, because I think we all want to control the outcome at any given moment, and especially when you have such tight schedules, with kids and work and all the craziness.
Yeah.
But wanted to ask you, how
But
has sorry.
just really quick, I just want to say that, like, the reason that we want to control things is because we want to feel safe. So if we can just cultivate a feeling of safety and trust and strength, and knowing that whatever is going to happen, you have the tools innately coded within you. So you don't have to control the situation. We can allow things to be as they are. But that takes just a little bit of practice, doesn't it? It's like when you get on your yoga mat and it's like, well, I want everything to be perfect. I want the lights and the incense and the this and that. And then sometimes you're just going to breathe and you're going to roll around on your mat, and that's okay too. Do you know what I'm saying? So it really is an opportunity for growth here, to look at the areas we're trying to control and realize, guess what? You're not in control of anything. You're only in charge of how you respond to external circumstances. Do you know what I'm saying? So anyway, go ahead.
No, that was great. Thank you so much for adding this. Many people I speak with, clients of mine, friends of mine, other mothers, I just notice how whenever they say, I don't have time, I don't have money, I don't have, I even sometimes fall into this, not having, like, I don't have enough friends who are fun. Or I just want to have fun, but nobody's calling me. Like, why is nobody calling me? It's so easy to fall into this trap of not having something, as we just said about the meditation, not having enough time, and I think this lack that we live in, this constant state of lack, it's creating so much uneasiness.
Mhm.
This question just popped in my mind. I didn't prepare it, but I was wondering, how do you navigate whenever your mind starts, lacking things and just going into this, I don't know, negative state.
That cycle. Yeah, I hear you. Gratitude is such an important energy. It's a state of being. So anytime I'm feeling like I don't have enough, I've trained myself, and I'm still training myself to choose things I'm grateful for. So like if you're like, I want to have friends that are more fun. I don't have enough friends. It's like, well, I'm grateful for the desire for fun. And then it takes me into, what can I do? Do you know what I'm saying? Instead of going, like we talk a lot about in the yoga off the mat trainings, this paradigm of being and doing and having. And the world has trained us to believe that once we have the time, the money, the friendships, then we would do the things that we love, and then we would be happy or free or excited or satisfied or fulfilled. But it's in cultivating the frequency of being, like you are a human being first. Larry, my yoga teacher, you say you're not a human doing machine, you're a human being. So it's the energy of fun. What does that feel like? Do you know? It's light, it's freeing, you have little tingles, you maybe little butterflies in your tummy, you're kind of like, yay. What does it feel like to wake up and be like, I have all of the time in the world. Time expands for me. What does that feel like? So it's like being in that vibration. The being comes first. If I had all of the time in the world, then what would I do with today? And then what would I have? So we need to flip it. The Course in Miracles teaches us, I'm a student in the Course in Miracles, and that this is a psychological mind training in moving from fear to love. And it teaches us that our thought systems are 180 degrees away from the truth. So we have time, we have friends, we have money. We might think that we don't have enough of those things, but that is a thought and a belief that is untrue. But your ego will not have that. Your ego will show you all of the places where you don't have enough money or time or friends, because that's its function. It wants you to stay as you are. It doesn't want you to change. Do you know what I'm saying? But if the desire exists within you and you have enough awareness to see, dissatisfaction, pain, these are not bad things. These are great teachers in our lives. So it's like the desire for more friends is like, oh, okay, well then what do I need to do for that to happen? Like, who can I call? Hey, so-and-so, let's meet on Tuesday and have a coffee, or get a glass of wine, or do something fun, like do something out of bounds. Like, maybe I want to take my kids out to ice cream today. Maybe that's just like something we never do, and that just sounds fun. Do you know? Because fun is an aspect of our child energies that's just been pushed down, because you have to work, and there's not enough time for fun because we have to be here by 3:30. It's like, well, what happens if you ask yourself, like, what's the worst that can happen if I get there at 4? Hey, I'm sorry, we're running a half an hour behind today. I'm so excited to see you, but we will be there at 4. And then you take your kid for the ice cream cone, have some fun. When you show up to that appointment at 4, you're going to feel kind of activated and more fun to be around. So to be like, oh, I'm tired, we're dragging around. It's like, how many of us are like, digging our heels in and just fighting through time and space. It's like, it is what it is, you know? So it's like really, really looking at frequency. Where's my vibration at? And where do I want it to be? You know, I want to be happy. I want to be light. I want to have fun. If I'm not in those places, that's okay. Just as long as I'm aware of that and my desire is to shift that, then I'm going to work through all of the things. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a place for the darkness and the heaviness. It's not that we have to fight it, but we do need to be able to look at it and be willing to change the way that we're responding to it. You know, no, not you again. It's like, well, you again. I guess you have something else to teach me today, you know?
This is something I'm learning to do, to stay in the discomfort. And I think it's something that we all, at least everyone I know, avoids, you know? We don't want to feel discomfort or bored. We don't want to be bored. So it's like this constant entertainment going on. And the more that we don't want to feel it, the more it starts to be discomfort. Yeah. And it's
good
like,
for you.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I wanted to ask you something a bit more on this note of the discomfort. A few years ago, because I followed your path ever since we met in Florence in 2015. Back then, you taught my yoga teacher training, and then I came back for a rocket 50 hours teacher training. And a few years after this, you moved to Mexico with your beautiful family. And then you shared something very personal, that you are struggling with breast cancer. So you walked this path and you are now healthy and vibrant. Can you maybe share with everyone who would be interested what kept you going in the darkest of moments?
Well, I have a really strong belief that only love is real. And I think I spent the first half of my career, you know, disregarding the darkness. Only love is real. So then fear is an illusion. And so I'm just going to ignore it. And cancer was like all of the things that I had ignored and tucked away and that were not allowed, all the feelings that were not allowed, all of the grief, all of the resentment, all of the bitterness, that I was a yoga teacher and I was teaching a lot, you know, from the time I was trained till about 2021. So we're talking like, you know, 20 years of just teaching all the time. And then I stopped. You know, I was about halfway through my cancer journey. So when I found out I had cancer, I sold everything and moved to Mexico and scooped my family up and told the doctors I wasn't going to do anything that they were going to tell me to do. And I was going to find a way to move through this because only love is real and I can do this. If my body created this, then my body can uncreate it. So I still believe that there is some truth to that. But I think what happened about halfway through was that I started to realize that I wasn't going to get rid of this without being willing to unpack it and allow the feelings and like to look at, you know, the grief and the resentment and the bitterness and to stop ignoring it and working and hustling and grinding my way to the other side of it. That's not how I've learned that it works. There is, you know, what they call the dark night of the soul. There is shadow work. These things are there for us to integrate the aspect of us that is still in the dark, that's afraid and lonely and blaming and suffering. We can't ignore that, you know, and just think it's going to go away. It's like, cancer was like the closet I filled with like all of the stuff and I closed the door and walked away. And at one point it was like I had to open it and let it all fall back because behind that door was all of the things that I've ever wanted and desired in my life. And so, you know, facing something like cancer can be really scary because we question everything, you know, like I thought I did everything. I drank all the juice, I did all the yoga, but this is why we talk so much about frequency in this work. If I'm really honest with you, I was struggling a lot. It was a lot of pressure for a young woman, a young mother. I was having children. I was traveling around the world with my kids, strapped onto me, running from airports, going to trainings, dealing with people, going through their stuff and all of their expectations. And so there was a lot of stress that I was not processing. I would hold on to it, and I think it just became very acidic and toxic in my body. And so being able to, give myself some time to really be with that, I think is what it takes to heal. We can get rid of the cancer. We can, cut it out, burn it, poison it. You can fast until the end of time. You could do all of those things, but the emotional implication of energy, like the energy that is stuck in density in the avatar, at some point needs to be released, and it cannot be released without our permission. That's just universal principle. So we can't just throw light on dark. We've got to bring the dark to the light. And that is like, wow, that takes a lot of courage and a lot of power, because we can get lost in that and think I am the darkness. I am my pain. But it's in the observation of it and in the curiosity of it, and to notice your mental patterning and to bear witness to your journey. That's the practice. That's what we're trying to do, is to observe ourselves, to feel the feels, and then also to, set them down. So that's a long answer to that, but
No, this is so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing this, and I'm just so happy that I will have it recorded to listen again and again. Can you maybe share how has your relationship with your body changed? Because as women, we are very concerned of the way we look, especially with aging. And I'm soon turning 36, and after 2 kids, and after this healing process that you went through, like, how has the relationship with your body changed?
well, it's changed a lot. I mean, the body is such an interesting learning device. Through the practice, we learn that you're not your body. Your body is like your car. You're not your car, but you care about your car. You want it to be clean. You want it to look good. You want to wash it, all the things. But, it does change. And we do, having children was really intense for me. I was so used to my body always being able to do things. And here I was, 8 months pregnant, so I gained so much weight in both my pregnancies. I mean, it was just like, I would say this is like science fiction. Like, what is happening to my body? It's just like, wow, who's doing this? Like, how is this happening? And it just happens, And I think that part of this, and then having surgeries eventually after 7 years of alternative cancer treatments, I did end up having surgery. And then that was really traumatic, to allow that to happen to this body that I've come to really love and appreciate, to let it transform and to take shape and all of those things. I think that it's a balance between knowing I'm not my body, but also that I deeply care about it and that I want it to be healthy and happy. But really, again, I know I keep saying this, it is about frequency. It's like, where's my energy right now? Because what ages us and what causes sickness is stress and fear. Stress is a sophisticated form of fear. So, sometimes we'll think, well, I don't have time to do yoga, or I don't have time or money to invest in coaching, or I don't have time to sit around with my girlfriends and talk about my feelings. I have work to do. Like, this is the voice in my head. This is like my mother's voice. Like, we don't have time for this shit. Snap out of it. Let's go. We got to go. Boom, 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 boom. Well, that is the energy of cancer. That is acidic. That is not natural. That is turning against my natural inclination to rest and be at peace and to move through life being of service to myself, my family, and others, So, allowing my body to go through transformational changes, like to love on my body in the evenings, and in the mornings, to really say you're safe. Like, yes, things are different, but you're perfect as you are. And I'm here to learn, because the body is simply a feedback system. And, you know, one of the things with the cancer that I learned was that I was not a victim of the cancer. So many people are like, you know, it's like they'll play the victim card, you know, like, I can't believe this happened to me, or it's hereditary, or, you know, it's because of the environment, or it's because of the estrogens in the shampoo, you know. But it's like, you're the one who bought the shampoo. You're the one that drank all the martinis. You know, Marie, like, let's get real. Let's stop placing the blame outside. So what happens is the body is taking on more than it needs. And so when you're loving on your body and you're practicing yoga and you're practicing self-acceptance and you're drinking the juice as much as you can, and the coffee and the wine at times, you know, it's all about moderation. Like, I don't, you know, do a lot of things like I used to anymore. But I've allowed myself some treats now and then. You know, I'm not as strict with myself as I used to be, because that was causing more stress. Do you know what I'm saying? So being a human is not an easy job. We're learning how to, you know, manage ourselves with a lot of things happening. So I think the older I get, the more I'm starting to just like relax with it. And, you know, yeah, there's some gray hairs and there's more wrinkles and, you know, there's a little bit more weight here and there, but, you know, it's okay. It's just what it is, you know, like, I'm so happy. Like, that's great, right? Like, if you're chasing all the things and then you're not happy and you're vibing at a negative frequency, then it doesn't matter what it looks like on the outside. We're obsessed with the outside and we totally disregard what's happening on the inside. When I'm saying I'm trying so hard in my life and in my community to focus on the inside, and then the outside will be fine. It'll look great, you know.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, I wanted to ask you a bit more about yoga, because as I said in the beginning, for many people, yoga is just the physical aspect, the poses, and they connect yoga with, oh, I have some back pain, I should do more yoga, you know, and that's about it. It's a cure that is just for 1 week maybe or two until you fix the problem, and then no more. But as I know it from you and from my teacher training in Florence, with It's Yoga, yoga is a way of life. It's a philosophy. It's a value system. You know, it's in the choices we make, in either to choose to be kind or to be rude, if you want. You know, it's
Right.
so much more than that. It's in the mindfulness practice. It's in the meditation. What is like? What is it beyond the poses and the practices? Can you maybe share your view on that, and what is spirituality for you, maybe, if we compare it to yoga?
Well, you know, I think a lot of people are raised, you know, with some sort of religious background, you know, so there is this programming around dogma and doctrine. It's like, if I do this, then I'm good, you know, and then if I don't do this, then I'm bad. And it's a very simplistic way of looking at things. But yoga supported me in kind of breaking free from that construct. You know, it was about universal consciousness. It was about, like, anytime I practiced yoga, I would feel this overwhelming sense of love and lightness, and I was just like, wow, you know, what is happening here? And it's that was especially as a beginner. And like, things change, right? Now sometimes yoga, for those of us who've been on the mat a long time, it's like, oh, it's a lot of work, you know. It's like, I don't know if I have, you know, and the mind is trying to do, you don't have to do it, all the things. But, you know, it is this, the first 3 yoga sutras, which is yoga philosophy. You know, you mentioned yoga is a philosophy, and it is. It's not a religion. It's for everybody, and it's for anybody that feels called to it. There are many ways to access the divine, and yoga is one of them. You know, it's not the only way, and I think that's what's so comforting about, you know, practices like yoga or A Course in Miracles and mindfulness and these types of practices, because it's not about dogma, although we can be very dogmatic with it. Well, if I don't do yoga, I'm a mess. It's like, there is this aspect of like utilizing these tools, these philosophical ideas, and I mentioned the Yoga Sutras. The first one says, now is the time for yoga. So in any given moment, now, the second one says, yoga is stopping how the mind turns. So now I can stop this, I can just like, time out. And then the third one says, so that I can see who I am. So that's for anybody. And that process of seeing who you are behind all of your thoughts and all of the things that you have to do and all the people you have to be for all of those people. How many masks are we wearing every day? I'm like this with these people. I'm like this. It's exhausting. And then when you realize that you are a fractal of God, like you were created, you don't make yourself breathe. You don't make your heart go. It's like we think we're everything. It's like, wow, what is this consciousness? Like, what made my body grow during my pregnancies? It's nature. I am a part of nature. I am coded for greatness. Like that's like, wow, that's super liberating. And so I don't even remember what the question was, but I think that tell me what the question was again so I can circle it back in.
No, it was more like, what is yoga beyond the poses and the practice? But I think you answered to it.
It's self-realization. Yoga is about, realizing who you are. So we do all of those movements so that our body can be agile and flexible, so that we can sit in our seat of wisdom, which is Padmasana, and remember the ancient truths that are there, that are covered with, again, our life's experiences, our childhood traumas, our failures, our resentments. Those are all barriers to love's presence, and yoga is about breaking down those barriers. The louder you breathe, that's what happens. You're breathing, and the next thing you know, you're like, wow, there's all this space. Can you breathe louder than your internal dialogue? Like the first time I heard that, I was like, wow. And I had a lot of internal dialogue. When I first started yoga, my family thought I had lost my mind. Here I was, like, living with this yoga teacher. I moved across the country. I was like, everything that they had taught me to be and trained me to be, I was doing the opposite. They thought I'd lost my mind. So I would get on my mat and I would have this conversation going on about how I was a bad daughter. I was a bad sister. I was disappointing my parents. I was the scum of the earth. I mean, my was like a lot of stuff. And so then here was this yoga teacher, like, happy and walking around going, breathe louder, louder. If you're still thinking you're not doing the yoga yet, breathe louder, louder, louder. And so next thing I knew, it was like I was just breathing. And the breath, what we come to learn, is spirit. And the spirit, air is ether and ether is God. Where does it start and where does it end? Do you know? If I stop breathing, I don't exist in this body anymore, but it doesn't mean I don't cease to exist. I am the breath. So we learn that, tying it back to the body conversation, I'm not my body, I am my breath. And so the more that I breathe and the more that I inhale and the more that I allow myself to quiet down this thinking mind, it's like, wow, I'm so much more. I'm so much more. And that is like, wow. If I can move through my life from that place, if I can mother from that place, if I can love my partner from that place, if I can run my business from that place, there's nothing I cannot do. Because that's the power of the universe. That's like, that makes oceans move and, stars shine and flowers grow. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, I really like what you said about the limitations that we set ourselves. That all the limitations are actually self-created, and there is no boundary to the way we can express our soul. And if we relate it back to Dharma, Dharma is in a way a soul expression, right? Like what we are planted here to create and to flourish. And Yeah, I forgot to mention that you actually just opened a yoga studio, right? I don't know which
Yes,
yoga studio or you are teaching
it's
now yoga.
yoga
Yeah, in Toledo, right?
in Toledo. This is my hometown. I always come back to this place when I want to get barbecued, when I want to really practice what I preach, be around my family of origin, a lot of the old school I went to. I mean, it's just like it's a lot, but and I have a lot of faith, I have a lot of faith in the practice. And yeah, we just built out a beautiful studio space, and I have a shop. I sell textiles, and we do online coaching. We do all sorts of things. And speaking to Dharma, it's like that's the Dharma. I mean, that's the service that we need to do. But I also, in terms of that concept of service, I've been really careful to make sure that I'm not over serving. I think my patterning has been to, my self-worth was wrapped up in what I produce, and like how good I am at my job, and how many people are in my class or in my program. And I really had to dial back and come back to like, worth is divinely given. That's not based on people. People don't get to dictate your worth. Your business numbers don't get to dictate your worth. Your partner doesn't get to say that you're good enough or not good enough. All of these things really come down to a sense of accepting that the ultimate Dharma, the ultimate service, is you're in service to your authentic self. That is the practice of yoga. I realize that I am here to serve, but I don't need to go run and push through that. That is the opposite. The flowers are not trying to grow. They're not like, I want to be prettier and bigger and better than the daisies. It's like that is not the energy that we want to cultivate within ourselves. What is natural to us is a deep sense of knowing that you're designed for greatness, he's designed for greatness, and the only difference is if you're willing to choose that for yourself in this life. Because now is the time for yoga, right? It's like, I don't get to choose that the curriculum is about love, but I do get to choose when I participate, and when I, decide that I'm going to live my life in an authentic manner, and I'm going to allow my feelings. And if I don't feel like teaching, and if I don't want to do these things, I'm not going to do them. I'm not going to push through this because I need to prove something for love or for worth. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's a very interesting, you become a very, curious person to the world. People are like, well, don't you care about money? And you're like, well, yeah, I mean, I care about it, but is it going to motivate everything I do? That would, and sometimes it does, truthfully, but that's my programming. That's not authentically who I am. And I think that yoga is just a constant invitation to get into this conversation of, is this authentic or is this ego? Is this my critic or is this my teacher? Which aspect of me is making these decisions? Who is speaking through me? If I am in judgment, resentment, and projection, I am absolutely in my ego, 100,000%. And when I hear it, I don't need to get mad about it. I need to go, oh, okay. Take a deep breath, regroup, make a different choice, ask for forgiveness, and then move on. But this, doubling down and pushing through and all of that, it's very unhealthy. I mean, those are the vibrations that are a breeding ground for dis-ease. I mean, what is dis-ease except for the absence of ease? So I started this podcast saying, we're doing all of this for that. Well, what's that? So that I can live with as much ease, and grace as possible. So yeah, I mean, that's everything. I mean, I want to serve, I want to do my Dharma by letting people know that they can set down some of that anxiety and some of that frustration, some of that pushing a little bit, and tap into that energy that is mystical and universal, that is their divine right. It's like we need to heal our relationship to the divine. And in that, everything gets better. Everything. Your relationships get better, your health gets better, your money gets better, everything gets better.
Wow, I love that, and it really landed so well what you just said, because I notice my podcast is for moms who have their own business, by the way. Not That's not the only people
Oh,
who listen
perfect.
to it, but it's yes. And I noticed this grinding that you said. You do many things. That's how I serve, and so on and so on, and which is in itself it's good, but I really feel myself exhausted in some of the days, and I've done so much, but I don't feel satisfaction.
Absolutely.
And it's what you just said, because the first person we have to serve is ourselves, and to find our authentic voice.
Yes.
And I noticed that you did that, because you were very regular with posts and updates, and then all of a sudden
Oh,
you
yes.
stopped. Yeah, and then you only did posts when you felt like it, and then it really sounded absolutely 100% true, what you are really going through. And I also kind of do social media posts on this way, because I just cannot plan. But the depth of your writing, that was really really, really strong.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you. Well, you know what happens, Laura, is that, my friend says to me a lot, what takes you, like, if you're hustling and grinding and trying to check off your list, and moms do this, we all do this, and it's just, we just need to stop. We just need to stop it and look at it and just chill out for a minute. It's like, if I have all these things I want to do, but if I am moving matter with matter, it's hard. But if I give myself some grace and some space here, I can get the things done in that much time. The posts that I'm stressing about writing, if I'm in the right vibration, if my number one job is my vibration and feeling peaceful, accepting, setting down all the things, I don't need to control any of this. If I can get myself into that vibration and I cultivate that, and that's the aspect of self that I serve, then the post comes like that. Then all the things that I want to do, they get done. The meal is beautiful. It's just boom, 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 boom. I'm just in the flow. But if I am in resistance and I am trying to move matter with matter, it is so much more difficult. And it takes so much more time. And it's never enough. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's such a trap. And that's just the way the world works. I mean, it is a very, like, the energy of productivity, and, you got to grab the bull by its horns, and you got to, like, push through, and you got to fight for your place, and that is false. You are an aspect of God. Nothing you can do can stop that or change that. But you are only allowed to forget that. And then you're invited to remember. And when you remember that, that spirit wants your perfect happiness, wants you to be abundant, wants you to be successful, wants your projects to be, well received, and your children to grow up happy and healthy. Like, that is the energy of spirit. Like, that's why I say healing that and going there in the morning for 5 minutes with a kid on your lap or without, with a coffee or without. It's like that intention is so important. Like, are you trying to make it in the world? Are you trying to get the recognition? Because I can say this because I was, absolutely. I was trying to be somebody. I wanted my voice to be heard, and that was all my ego. It really was. I mean, and there was good work in there, so it's not to just throw the baby out with the bathwater. There was a lot of goodness in there. There was a lot of transformation for people. I mean, beautiful. And that still exists. But the way that was going was not sustainable for the truth of who I am, because the truth of who I am is authentic, peaceful, da da da. I cannot keep hustling and grinding. Now, I got the cancer. I had to stop. I had to slow down. I had to move back from Mexico. I lost a lot of money and friends, and, a lot of things. And that is the process of Shiva, of the phoenix rising, of letting it fall and still having a sense of self-worth. because I'm not going to say that my dignity and my goodness is coming from social media likes or how much money is in my bank account or how many people sign up for my course. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like I have to find those things within myself regardless of all that. And here's the kicker. When I do that, it's easy. All the people come because Spirit's doing it. You know, through me, I still have to do things, but I'm not, the energy with which I'm doing it is coming from such a different vibe. It's so much more trusting, so much more like, yeah, I deserve this. You know?
Yeah, and you can really feel it in your voice, like you're so grounded and so confident on the path that you're on, even though you might be a little bit tired from all the things with the studio and things going on. But why are we wired like that? Why are we people functioning in this way that we need something to literally bring us on our knees so we can revisit all the aspects of our life that we knew that it's not sustainable. We knew that this is not sustainable to, go partying every night, or not that I did it, but just maybe to give an example, or drink lots of coffee and be go, go, go and never rest, which I sometimes do. And I know it's not sustainable, but this really momentarily feeling of, oh, I nailed it today, even though I feel empty sometimes in the end of the day. I just really, all I can do is scroll on my phone. And I think many people can relate with that because this is something that we all do, just sometimes mindlessly scrolling, comparing, jumping into conclusions. Oh, because their life looks like that. It must be better than mine. It must be perfect. They got it, I don't have it. And why do we always or do we need to go through this? Or is there another way? Maybe is that what yoga is teaching us?
Well, we learn through contrast. Yoga is teaching us to unite. Yoga is literally to yoke. You think about milking a cow. I want to milk the universe, into my life. I want it, I want that frequency, that vibration. And comparison is such a distraction. It's so toxic. It's still, I'm unhealed with my self-worth. Where does worth come from? It doesn't come from productivity, and it doesn't come from the outside. You are worthy because you are an extension of light from the sun. You cannot change that. You can think you're not. You can say that one's brighter. I like that light better. That light had it easier. That one has more money. That one has more support. That you can make up stories all day long. But when you do that, you are literally feeding your inner critic, your ego. And it feeds on guilt and blame, yours or anybody else's. Now, why does this happen was an interesting question. And I think this is kind of an interesting paradigm to look at, because the Course of Miracles says, in the moment that you thought that you were separated from the divine, that's like, I am one drop of water and there's the ocean, but I'm all by myself. I'm just this one drop of water over here scrolling on Instagram, judging myself against all of the other waves and all of the other drops of water. In that moment, you forgot to laugh at how insane it is for you to think that you are separate from the body of water that birthed you. When you realize you are the ocean, you are the sun, you are when you realize that, it's like, well, I have a mentor who says, the ocean moves, I move. But if you think that you're all by yourself, that next wave is going to destroy you. And that's the thing, is that we protect our egos because they're safe and familiar. So this work is very, I think it's for everybody, but it's not for everybody. Because it's pretty deep. When we talk about ego death, or surrendering your ego to your higher self, accepting that you are a part of God having a human experience. When we start inviting those philosophical ideas into our minds, it's disorienting because the ego doesn't want that. The ego knows there's a higher vibration, but it doesn't want you to know that. Because if you know that, then what happens? Well, the ego's gone. The ego doesn't want to die. It's trying to keep you safe. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it can be very psychologically confusing and disorienting. But when you allow yourself to consider that you are not separate, you are not alone. Wow, that's like really comforting for me. It's like this studio. If I think I have to do this all by myself, oh my God, it's exhausting. I can't even. I can't. Until I know that this is God's project and He's just using my hands and feet to do the things. And in God's time, not in my time, there's no urgency. You know, like I have a lot of people in my life, they want to put, you got to open, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to get the money in, you got to, pay the bills, you got to do this, it's like, wow. Everybody calm down. Yoga teacher can't be stressing out, freaking out about everything. Okay? So my job sometimes looks like relaxing. Cleaning out in the closets, wiping down the refrigerator, like these basic things, like those are so important because they're the purification process. They're the clearing. Miracles are everybody's right, but purification is essential first. And so that's your job. That's what I'm telling you and all the mamas out there. Our job is to take care of ourselves. It really is. It's to serve yourself. It's to take care. So then your service is immaculate. What you do in the world, this podcast that you're bringing, your groups, the things that you offer, they're authentic. You're like, look, this is hard. I get it. I do these things too. I struggle too. And yet I am practicing this. This is the goal. This is to realize myself is the practice of yoga. So if I'm calling myself a yogi, I got to figure out who I am. And that is so much more than touching your toes and, all that. It's such a bigger job, a bigger practice, a bigger function. And when I think about time, I think, well, what is time for but for that? Like, what are we doing? But waking up, from the dream.
Yeah, to remember who we are in the first place. That's what you said.
And we need to remind ourselves of that. We need to remind ourselves of that, and that's what you're doing in your work. You're reminding yourself and everybody else. What gives you permission to teach yoga is your practice. So we just keep going deeper and deeper into our own practice of self-awareness, of self-discovery, of waking up. And then people are attracted to you because they can see that you might not be perfect, but you're authentic. And that's all I believe anybody really wants at the end of the day, is just to be themselves, just to be honest, to stop wearing all these masks and pretending to be so put together and having all your shit together and you got this and you got that. It's like, there was so much of my previous life where I was just so wanting it to be perfect. And it wasn't. I was running around with cancer. My marriage was a mess. It was very difficult for me to mother in a foreign country, or I didn't speak the language so great. It's like, where do I get the groceries? Like, there was a lot happening. And so, yeah. And it's okay. And everything is allowed. You're allowed to say it's hard sometimes. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be so it's all right.
No, and also what you said that I'm a yogi, and this kind of puts a filter on everything that's happening because, or all the, my reactions, even if you want. Sometimes before I react, I ask myself, if I have enough time, of course, if I don't react automatically, but I ask myself, is this the right behavior? Do I feel comfortable with this behavior in the aspect of being a mentor, a teacher, and so on?
Great.
And I always feel the answer in my belly, you know. I always know that this is not right to shout at my partner or just, you know, shout at the kids. I know in my gut that this is not the teacher I want to be, even. And so it's a big promise we make to ourselves when we get on this path. It's a big take. But
Yeah.
but
And
it's,
you can do it. And you can do it because the power of the universe is in you. Sorry. Say that again.
No, I didn't say anything.
Sorry. I said, and you can do it.
Yes.
You can.
So what would you say to someone listening who is in the season of not knowing or searching for their path, for their dharma, if you want? Like they're, maybe even lost a little bit, who knows? A lot of mamas, you know, they redefine themselves after birth. It's this huge shift where the old doesn't feel good anymore.
Yeah. It's super transformational. I mean, having babies is a big deal. I think follow your highest excitement. You know, like what makes you feel happy and excited? And maybe it's cooking or painting, or you have this great idea for a business. You want to open a bakery, or you want to make bread, or, you know, giving yourself permission to do the things that feel fun and are exciting to you, you know, and creating space for that. I was always really good at creating space for my work when my kids were young. Like I had a lot of clarity that I needed to like not have my kids around, do you know, because they were like so cute and I always wanted to like hang out with them, and then I would feel guilty that I was trying to work and all that. So, you know, I think a little bit of space for yourself is really important when you want to do a project, or, you know, sometimes I just want to read a book and that really makes me feel happy. Something really dumb and like a romantic or something like a murder mystery. Do you know what I mean? Like, because we're working at such a high level with like all of these like big psychological ideas, and sometimes you just want to like chill out, you know? And so sometimes I will have my kids have a babysitter or something, and I will just be in my room reading a book. Like, you know, I know it sounds really dumb, but like just being like and I value that. And I think that when moms are trying to sort out like what should I be doing with my life? Well, you should be being your best version. That's what you should be doing, is being the best version of you. And if you make a mistake, say you're sorry, move on, dig deep into yourself. Why are you responding this way? What is unhealed within you? You know, do I want to get some coaching? Do I want to journal more? Do I want to go to yoga classes? And do those things for yourself. Like, you're valuable. You deserve to be happy. Mamas are so worried about everybody else's happiness that we just like forget about ourselves. And that is the opposite. You know, that's the way you've been trained. That's probably what your mother did, and then guilted you for it, made you feel like it was your fault she wasn't happy. Do you know what I mean? Like, thanks a lot for that one that I have to overcome now again in this life. Thanks, Mom. You know, I bless you. Thank you for showing me what I want to not do. Blame my kids for my miserable day. It's your fault. I had to drive you here and there, and it's like, wow. Like, wow. Really. Lay off the kids, moms. That's what I want to say too. It is not your kid's fault you're in a bad mood. Like, it's not the kid's fault. The kid is the kid. You're in a bad mood. Deal with your stuff. Take care of yourself. Stop making excuses. Stop playing the victim. You don't have time. You don't have money. You have all of those things. You are so resourceful, you know? And sometimes you don't need money like you think you do. Like, miracles happen. Like, people will come into your life. A new friend will happen. Like, there's a lot of free content out there. There's a lot of YouTube videos on consciousness and vibration and frequency. Like, Laura's group is not expensive. Join. It's so comforting to have a community too of like women that are really trying to break free from their egoic patterning. It's not true. It's just you bought into it and it feels real and it's scary. And I get that, but you're a child of God. You're designed for greatness. You're a beautiful flower. Like, let the bees come to you. Hello? Oh, there we go.
I don't know what happened, but yeah, we're
There's
back.
just you now. There was two of you,
Yes.
but now there's just one.
No, I just want to thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, and this feels very special. It feels like one of our sessions together. Are you still offering sessions right now, or you're just fully busy with a new studio? How does it look like?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have some spots open.
Yeah. If people are interested, I do have a few spaces for privates. And we have the Mighty Companions group, which is the group coaching and the yoga off the mat tools. I think that it's one of the things that you and I have worked on too, is those tools are really powerful because they teach us how to trust our higher selves. They allow space for the ego. Like, what are your fears? Like, we talk about it. What are your expectations? What are your resentments? Like, we go into the shadow, like, and I come with you because I'm like, I know that you're the light. We're just going to bring this little aspect of you that's wounded. We're going to just bring it in. Come on over here. Come on. It's like nurturing a child out of like the kid is scared in there and you're like, it's okay. Come on. We're going to have sandwiches. Like, it's going to be fun. Like it's like that. And the Mighty Companions is, it's a lower price point and it gives people opportunities to check in twice a month and to have access to these like videos that have content. And then privates are so fun. I mean, you're one of the ones that like the progress that can happen in a private container is really powerful. And I think all of the people I've supported privately, like, I mean, I've always gotten really great feedback around just how great it feels to have somebody have your back when you do this deep work. Because it can be like, and I can only do it, like I can only support you because I'm doing it too, like it's not something I read in a book. It's like I'm actually experimenting in my own life. Like, how do these ideas work in my life, and, we've had great results, I think, with a lot of people, and it doesn't end. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm good. I arrived. I'm enlightened. No, it's like, no, that's not how it works. It's a journey. It doesn't end until you're gone, and even then you might come back and do it again. So.
And the mentor sessions with you, I've recommended it to everyone in my closer circle, and I can recommend it to anyone who's never tried this before, but this is beyond everything I've tried so far. I've done coaching, I've worked with a psychologist, but this is just like really what it is. It's the next level. Concept, even if you want, this connection with the limitless mind and the divine. Mm-hmm. It opens to me a whole new horizon, which I'm still exploring, and I'm still teaching myself the tools because it's everyday work. It's really everyday.
Yeah, because every day you wake up, you're a beginner. Mm-hmm. Every day you forgot. It's like we forgot. We've got to choose every day. Who do I want to be today? What kind of day do I want to have? Because otherwise, like, if you're not leading yourself, you're being led, and you're in default programming. Like, that's what's so crazy about it. It's like, it's not even your fault. It's just the programs, It's like you have to be the one to tune the radio to the channel you want to be on. Otherwise, you're just like playing static. It's like, isn't that funny?
Nowadays, everyone is listening to podcasts, so maybe just listen to the podcast you want to listen to. I wanted to ask you, like, last question, maybe last two questions. If you want to share what's your biggest challenge right now, and maybe a little bit final wisdom, anything that is bubbling that you would like to share, because I think this is super valuable for people here in Bulgaria.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me. It's always it's so heartwarming to have a platform, to be invited onto somebody's show and to say and for them to ask questions. And because I never know, like you said, do you want to see the questions? I was like, no, let's just go, because I love that spontaneity, and let's just see what happens in this conversation. It's so fun like that. And I guess in terms of that question, what's something hard I'm dealing with? I think I'm really at a precipice of breaking through to the next version of me. I've been really working in my core beliefs and my core patterning, and finding that there's still a lot of not good enough patterning that I find is coming up. I feel really grateful because I have some friends in my life right now that moved next door, and you've met Tasha. And we are really doing this great work together and supporting each other. I can see things in her and she can see things in me, and bringing it forward, saying the hard things. She brought something to me yesterday that was was really difficult for me to hear, and when I saw the way that people are not their behaviors. So when there's something that happens that's you're tempted to judge and be like, why did you do that? That was so dumb, I do that to myself sometimes. And I think we all do. We'll be like, oh, why did I do that? That is when to really keep going. Wow. Then it's this unpacking. I think that's what's been a little bit I love this work, but I also find myself really getting into some stuff that I've been storing for a really long time, protecting, justifying, explaining. It's I'm in this place now of okay, there's another layer of this big closet that I've stuffed for lifetimes, and I've taken on the karmas of my family, and all of the things. And we all do this, but not all of us unpack it, and are willing to sit through the discomfort of that, and the pain. And I think that's where I'm still kind of that's hard. It's still hard, but I also feel that these are kind of the final layers to this next level of me and this version of being authentic, because I think that spirit has really been purifying me in such a big way. And as with the detox, it's not always comfortable. It's not. It can be hardcore sometimes, and I think that's what I'm trying to settle into, that it's okay, it's all good, even when it's not.
Thank you so much, Marie, for being here on Be Mindful, and just really want to appreciate you for everything that you're doing for humanity, if you want, for your family and for yourself, mostly, to emanate this, what every woman can also do, because what one woman can do, another can do. And actually, something I remembered what you said earlier, that for mothers, what they can do is to be. I just remember this quote that good ideas come when you do the work, but great ideas come when you're resting.
I love that. That is so good. It's a great way to wrap up the podcast.
Yes. So really, thank you for reminding me this, and wish you all the best. And I look forward to be seeing you very soon again, to participate in the Mighty Companions and everything else. I'll link them below, so anyone interested can check them out. And I totally recommend it.
Thank you so much, Laura. You're doing so great. I'm so proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. Have a nice day.
See you soon. You too. Ciao, ciao.